Tech Tales 89. Today is July 27th on a Tuesday morning, 7:20 a.m. Going to read over some time slips of actual charges to my clients for work that I perform, starting with on Wednesday, July 14th, 9 minutes for the Chiropractic office, Charlie. This time slip is 10:02 a.m. to 10:11 a.m. And I was actually on site for this, for Dr. Charlie and Tango. Determine sluggish response for messages panel in ChiroTouch caused by excessive history. Deleted messages for prior years which solve the issue. Tango will perform the procedure for front office computers. So each user has their own history of messages. These messages are internal messages, sending messages to each other about what needs to be done on a patient's account. And when they would click on this, it would take an unacceptably long time to load. Now that might have been 6 seconds, 10 seconds, but they do that a lot throughout the day to click into that. That window doesn't just stay open. So my first inclination was, this might not be something I can solve, but I looked into it a little bit and I saw the scroll box for scrolling down to older messages, a really tiny scroll box. So I scrolled all the way down, found they had messages going back to, I think it was like 2002. So I asked them, do you need these old messages? And she told me that sometimes they do go back and look at old messages. And I said, how far back do you need to go? And is that really critical? And what we wound up doing is deleting all the messages prior to the current year. And then it opens up just instantly. And she said, this has been such a pain for us. It's been a long time. They hadn't talked to me about it. They had talked about it amongst themselves. She was about to call the ChiroTouch, but when you call their tech support, you have to make an appointment, which might be a ways out in the future. So she said, well, I'll ask Doug. And it was an easy fix. I wish they would have asked me sooner. And then moving on to the next one, also on Wednesday, the 23 minutes. This was on the phone and remote connection for the CPA office, Charlie. I have video for this one, so let me explain it. This is in conversation with Tango. He's a partner in the business. Phone and remote connection to review issues with assert anomalies and plan resolution steps, research records. So in this step, I turned video recording on to record his screen, and he went through the procedure. I did not catch what I'm about to show you because he went very quickly through the screen that I'm about to show you. So I'm going to explain the situation. I'm going to show you the screen. When we get there, I'm going to tell you when to pause so that you can pause the video and look over that message yourself and see if you can come up with a solution before you listen to me give you the solution. It's a little bit of a pop quiz for you. And so I need to explain the process. So Lacert is a tax processing software. There's a process called Proforma. In this software, what that means is to take the data for the client from the prior year and move it forward into the next year. So it's just essentially rolling it forward. And I'm suspecting the word Proforma is used for some other things besides rolling tax data forward to a new year. That's a part that I'm not really educated on. But anyway, he said he would do that, and then it wouldn't. That client would not show up in the new year program, the new version, because every year Lacert there's Lacert 2019, Lacert 2020. It's a separate program. So then he'd say he'd go back and do it again, and it would tell him that it's already there. Do you want to overwrite it? So he's asking me to solve this along with some other issues, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So I'm going to bring up that. Now I'm not bringing it up as a video. I'm bringing it up as a freeze frame that's zoomed into the particular message. I'm going to give you a little bit of orientation to the message, and I'll tell you when to pause the video. So here's the message. So when I tell you to pause the video, you can pause it and read over this stuff. And you see here that this dot is selected. So when he came to this screen, he just pretty quickly went to the next button, and I didn't have a chance to comprehend this screen. Now, in this case, he was processing corporate data. In Lacert, there's you switch to a different module within Lacert, depending upon whether you're doing individual taxes or corporate taxes or S Corp or nonprofit, or let's see, there's a couple others. So go ahead and I've told you all I need to tell you. So go ahead and hit pause now to read it over. Go ahead. Okay, so now you must have unpaused and you've read through this. Did you come up with the obvious conclusion that I would expect any technician to be able to come up with? Up here it tells us your clients will transfer automatically to the 2020 Lacert default directories under S Lacert 20 tax C data. And I told you this was a corporate return. So the C is for corporate. Nothing will print if you choose this option. Custom, you can select the type of client data to transfer and you can change the default directories. Then here, use settings from last time. Complete pro forma process using the custom settings that you saved from the last time you transferred your clients. Turns out he didn't really understand these three options or what they do. So when selected on this item, this is the client destination directory because at some point in time, this particular client had been set up as custom. Now this client destination directory means it's going to store in the C data folder for corporate data inside an individual data folder inside an individual data folder. This is totally wrong. The default location is C data. So when he would go into the new program and look at the corporate clients, it would by default look into this folder. Well, the pro forma for this particular client was in this folder, which is inside this folder, this was totally invalid. Somebody did this or selected this for this client in the past, and this CPA is a partner in the firm, but only recently. He became a partner, what was it, maybe a year and a half ago, I think it was, or half a year ago, and he worked there a year prior to that. But then the clients prior to that, I think this maybe was before him. But clients typically don't understand folders and what these designations mean. He may not even realize that the C is for corporate and the I is for individual. Now, he did notice this. In all fairness, he did notice it. He questioned it. He brought it up to me, but he was still accepting this. He never did realize that the correct choice to what that was going to fix his problem was to come back to here. So once I did review the video, and it's in another time slip later because I didn't get to it immediately, I called him back and connected remotely and just explained the screen to him. He says, oh, that makes sense. So it's just this technical type of topic. It's a little bit outside of the realm of a normal client who's doing their work. And it's not to be laughed at. It's not to be, I just laughed, didn't I? Everybody makes rookie mistakes. As a technician, he's a rookie. And this is a technician level concept. So let's come back to the big boy camera and go on to the next one. Do I still have time? Yeah, I do. So Wednesday the 14th, 2 hours, 24 minutes for the Law Office Whiskey, 4:06 to 6:30 p.m. This time slip is identified for Juliet, which is the front office assistant. Remote connection to office computer to troubleshoot Outlook failure. Found 2 emails in Outlook outbox with 155 megabyte attachments each. It was the same attachment. It didn't go the first time, so she tried it a second time. 10 megabytes is about the maximum you should be trying to send as an attachment. 155 megabytes. I've talked many times about this office and their large attachments that they're sending back and forth to each other. So we've got a long-term fix plan for that. That's going to be implemented within the next couple weeks. Canceled the sending of both emails and sent an email to Juliet explaining they are too large for emailing. And then Juliet, the attorney, Juliet Whiskey, I guess I should call him, fixed microphone for office computer Zoom by reconnecting USB cable for microphone and tested with Zoom. So he was actually in the office at this time, called me, and coincidentally at the same time that I was working on this other issue. Yes, in the evening. What did I say that was? Well, 4:06 to 6:30 p.m. And I said, well, is your microphone connected? And he said, what microphone? And I said, well, look on your desk. I think your microphone it looks like a ball. I think it's actually called Snowball. And so he looked over on the desk and goes, oh, and he picks this up and pulls it over in front of the camera. You mean this? Yes, that's your microphone. Now, is there a wire attached to it? No, there's no wire attached to it. So there's got to be a USB cable somewhere that's come disconnected. So he looked around for it and found it, reconnected it, and then we tested with Zoom and it worked fine. Then, continuing on this time slip, this piece identified for the server, configured OneDrive Microsoft 365 account using a email address that is actually a personal Microsoft account, but it uses their custom domain name. So we have not made their custom domain name a Microsoft 365 for Business account yet. That is the long-term plan. At this point in time, we had a Microsoft 365 account, and I was just configuring OneDrive. And this is part of my exploration and figuring out how we're going to go about doing this. So tested the operation of that, determined clarifying questions for Juliet receptionist and Romeo legal assistant. So I wrote down some questions. I want to talk to them about how they operate, and they're going to be operating with that other attorney that's going to be assisting the main attorney. This other attorney is not actually an employee. So I was gathering up my questions to help formulate how we're going to go about this new strategy. So I think that's it for this edition of Tech Tales. I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.